tonight.
So this is the Dark Lady. This is a previous one that I've made. We are going to make her twin sister. We're going to start with a Dollar Tree Barbie doll to craft the Lady of the Light. So first I undressed her, pulled her out the box obviously. We're going to disassemble her. She pops right off. There goes her hips. We're going to pull her arms off next. Now she has two seams running up either side, and she's hollow, like you can tell. So we're going to take our shears, and I have utility shears, they're pretty heavy duty, and we're just going to follow that seam straight up to her armpit. Once we make those cuts, I'm going to follow her shoulder blades high up because we're going to glue that back shoulder blade to the back of our wall. So I'm just going to follow that straight across from one shoulder to the other. Now, if you had plaster of Paris or some kind of agent that you could soak her hair, maybe style her hair a way that you would like, that would work perfect, and that had been suggested to me. However, I don't have that. So I just took some regular shears, regular kitchen, just standard shears, and just cut her hair off. And I'm going to actually shave it till it's completely bald because I'm going to craft her hair out of hot glue. So there she is. That's pretty scary, but she's bald. You can see where they inserted the hair into her. And somebody once suggested that she looks like Cynthia from the Toy Story, and they are extremely accurate. That's exactly what that scary doll looks like right there. However, we are going to mount her just like this one. And what I'm doing now is I'm taking a measurement of the actual wall that I had created for this back. And it's 2 inches wide by 5 inches tall. This is crafted out of PVE foam, or EVA foam, I believe it's called. It's the same foam that you'd put on the floor in a workshop. It's the same floors as yoga mats. You can find this at any Harbor Freight. Walmart sells it, Target sells it. It's really, really cheap, and it makes a tremendous stone-like quality, and I'm going to show you how to do that a little later on. So I had cut off all the pieces I need. That base is 3 1/4 inches wide and 2 inches deep. And then I cut out a 1-inch piece to support the back of it, just for the extra weight. I didn't want the doll, not that it's that heavy, but I just didn't want it to put any sway into my wall. I wanted my wall to be rigid and look straight. So I just cut out a 1-inch, the same width, the same 3 inches as the wall that I'll be using, and just glued it to the back. Doesn't take much because the foam kind of melts into each other. And there I was trying to show you that I have the rough side. There's a smooth side to this foam, and then there's a textured side. And I glued the textured sides together. That way I can also texture the back so that also looks like stone. Here I'm just applying the hot glue to the doll so I can get it set. And you see that cute little boy in the background? That's one of my favorite crafts. He was definitely curious what I was doing. Okay, back to the project. Sorry, he's cute and hard to avoid. I put a little bitty piece of, that's a matchstick. You can buy those at Hobby Lobby. I bought mine at Walmart because they were pretty cheap. And they're basically matchstick without the striker. And what I'm doing is, since I didn't do the plaster of Paris method and I'm creating my own hair, I needed something that I could follow hot glue down and it would stick. So I glued 2 matchsticks to either side of her head to form hair falling from the crest of her forehead to her shoulders. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to actually cover her whole head in hot glue. And then I'm going to take that hot glue and actually give her a hair texture. So I'm taking lines and flowing that hot glue, the path that I want her hair to follow. This step is a little more difficult than I was anticipating, and that's only because you can't actually see the depth of the hot glue against other hot glue. So they're both shiny. You know the path that you took, but you can't see exactly if it's too blobby in one area or if it's softened in one area. In my case, that's exactly perfect because this is obviously made of stone. I wanted it to look kind of weathered because these are two gods that formed the world, and these statues were very old. However, if you were going to do this for something else, you might have a little difficulty using that hot glue and getting perfect detail. I'll show you a little bit later on how to clean that up if you'd like. But in the meantime, this is just me going back and filling in the spaces behind her head, filling in the spaces from that matchstick to the foam, and then giving her the hair texture that I was looking for on my statue. Again, this is the Lady of the Light. She's not going to have the horns as her twin sister. So I was trying to make her more flowing hair, less wild looking. So I'm actually going to skip forward in this video only because my phone had ran out of memory at the time, and I kind of missed the steps of showing you this process. Alright, so this is me carving the stone texture into this foam. Now please, 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 please do this in a well-ventilated area. That smoke is very carcinogenic. This is not a good smoke to breathe. This is not something you want to inhale. So I did it in a well-ventilated area. I had a fan in the background actually pulling all those fumes away from me and out my garage. So all I'm doing is that's actually a wood-burning tool, and I'm using that to create the patterns I need. And it's obviously I'm creating lines, but then I'm taking the side of that tip and then I'm just lightly brushing the stone, and it's giving it different depth. So it looks like worn cave rock almost. And that's the texture I wanted to have for my stones. Now, this particular wood burning tool is this point that I'm using has a tip. And this tip is what you would be able to use if you wanted to go back and use finer detail in your hair or whatever you were actually using your wood glue for. That pointed tip right there will act obviously just like a pencil. So you can go and put perfect detail in if you wanted. I didn't want to do that myself. However, please be extremely careful because that will burn the crap out of you. Okay, this is me putting on my first coat of dark gray. However, it's going to be a little bit lighter than the other stone, obviously to represent their not alliances, but their alignments, kind of. One is the god over night and all things that happen at night, and one is the god of the day and all the creatures of the day. So while the lady of the night, her stones are a little bit darker, I wanted the lady of the lights to have a little bit brighter of a stone. So the actual base coat is the same color. My highlights, however, are going to come a lot shades brighter than the other one, obviously. So this is me actually adding the highlights, and what I'm trying to explain to you is, once again, just like my previous videos, you want to go against the curvature. You do not want to follow the alleys and the low-laying areas. You want to skim across them. That brings your highlights up, and that leaves your lowlights down in the crevices. So there we are. That's them. Lady of the Light on the left, Lady of the Night on the right. I was trying to tell you those horns are just made of toothpicks and hot glue. So there we go. That's it. What do you guys think? That was pretty simple. Not bad for basically $1. Like the Barbie cost me $1. That amount of EVA foam probably would be around 10 cents. And then whatever it costs you for the hot glue and the paint. So I'm pretty excited. I've been putting off making the Lady of the Light, and I'm glad I finally have her finished.